Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
It's nice to be here with you, Lord. Dear Mr. O'Brien, on this lovely spring day in New York. How difficult are you? Dear Faith, this is a wonderful day. The blossoming flowers and nipples are exposed. Lord, please. Indeed, it is nighttime when there is enough sunlight for the girls to wear the tank tops, followed by their tiny companion. The World was made by Robin Williams. Years of laughter, but behind every joke was a man yelling for assistance. He shut himself in rooms at night to shield his wife from restless sleep. Attacks. He forgot lines while filming. He had known for many years. He placed his hidden them at friends by hiding watches and socks. Holmes, certain that he was being pursued, was held by his makeup artist as he wept after each scene. Everyone observed the signs. The illness went unnoticed. Their discovery in his brain would alter everything we believed to be true. On July 21st, Robin Williams was born. 51 at St. Luke's Medical Center in Chicago. At first glance, his life appeared to deal. Robert Williams, his father, was a Ford Motor Company senior executive. Business, and Lori, his mother, had been a model for fashion. They resided in a large home, had an abundance of wealth, and all the conveniences a youngster could desire. However, it was chilly in Robin's realm. His dad was constantly on the road for work, and his mother, endearing yet aloof, maintained formal rather than cozy. There were few hugs. One had to earn love. Robin swiftly discovered that in order to get attention, he had to perform. Be humorous, be outstanding. Being himself was insufficient. That the lesson would always be with him. At a certain age, 12, the family relocated to a room with 40 mansion in Michigan's Bloomfield Hills. It was extravagant, enormous, and incredibly isolated. His dad was at work, and his mom is occupied with social gatherings. Robin was occasionally left alone for hours. Days. When? The only company is the employees. He didn't just sit around moping, though. Voices filled the silence. He would converse with fictitious pals, make personalities, imitate family members, and create whole universes before the mirror. He turned the house into a private theater. Each chamber served as a stage, and each echo a joke. Most children were playing. Robin was inside giving a performance for ghosts. That's when his comedy began. Mute mansion where nobody informed him what was amusing or not. He worked it out, alone, but there was no way out of school. Robin wore spectacles, was short and plump, and didn't belong. His life was ruined by bullies. Sad. They made fun of him, took from even struck him. He would return home with a hurt pride and torn garments. Next, a change occurred. It occurred to him that if he made them chuckle, so they retreated. He leaned into it and stopped pounding. An impression here, a brief joke there, and all of a sudden he was powerful. Laughter turned to become his shield. It wasn't simply, it gave him control and protected him. He felt safer the more he made people laugh, felt, and the more accolades he received. For the more he depended on his ability to be humorous, till it emerged as the sole variant of, he knows how to display himself. Robin didn't simply inherit his amusing bones from trauma, which he inherited from his mother as well. Lori. Williams was astute and had good timing, on-liners, and might end a dialogue with a single sardonic look. Robin kept a tight eye on her. He committed it to memory. Her pauses, her rhythms, and her manner of making others chuckle without ever lifting her tone. However, he also noticed something darker. His mum appeared to only light up during his performance. If he halted, Robin's smile, being humorous, vanished, so he discovered how to maintain the ongoing show. Always be aware of your viewers. Examine the space. Be the version of you that receives praise. It was a ability that would establish him as a celebrity and make him fearful of quiet as well. Everything changed when he turned 16. After relocating to Tybon, California, the family and Robin went to Redwood High School. He encountered drama there. James Dunn, instructor. Dunn saw that nobody someone else had. Unadulterated talent hidden beneath years in self-protection. Robin became involved in the drama department and sprang to life instantly. His characters and voices weren't. Strangely, they were praised. He could finally make sense of the confusion in his mind, becoming something tangible. His peers were his range, left me speechless. For a second, he would be a timid British butler, followed by a New Yorker with a big mouth. Each prompt become a one-man operation. Regarding for the first time, Robin felt not alone. He noticed. As a senior, he wasn't merely a member of the theatrical club. He was the theater group, and he was prepared for something larger. Robin made a decision in 1973, leap, and was granted admission to Juilliard, of the most prestigious art institutions in the theater world. He was one of just 2 pupils accepted into their prestigious acting school, the other Christopher Reeve that year. However, there was a cost to the status. Juilliard imparted rigorous classical acting instruction. Shakespeare, stage, and breathing. Techniques, self-control. Robin was a tornado of thoughts and feelings. He was unwilling to abide by the guidelines. He desired to tear them to shreds. Others gave monologues, but he burst into improv. The school was impressed by his ability, but was unsure on what to do alongside him. 3 years later, he'd had sufficient. He dropped out in 1976. It startled everyone. Getting out of Juilliard was like leaving the Olympics in the middle through. However, Robin stated that remaining would have destroyed his soul. He required liberty rather than custom. Returning he jumped right into the stand-up in California scene of humor. He gave a performance at Holy San Francisco's City Zoo, and subsequently the Los Angeles Comedy Shop. His fashion sense was energized. Not only did he crack jokes, he turned into them. He was a Russian taxi driver, followed by a disco-affectionate alien. He had alternated between, voices moved so quickly that it felt like 10 individuals imprisoned within a single body. Viewers, instead than only laughing, they leaned forward, totally confined. George and other comics Richard Pryor and Carlin listened. Pryor even took on the role of mentor. Robin wasn't. He was a hurricane. He was just good. People departed, his performances, their cheeks aching from giggling. What might he accomplish in 10 minutes? In an hour, others were unable to. In 1977, he relocated to Los Angeles. He began frequently appearing at the Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip. TV comes into play there. New talent was sought after by producers, and Gary Marshall discovered him there. Marshall was a hitmaker already, creating programs such as Happy Days. When he watched Robin perform that evening and realized from away that this man wasn't just. He was unique and cast, which made him humorous. Origins of Robin Williams' Explosiverize started with what appeared to be a frantic, imaginative choice on Happy Days. In 1977, Gary Marshall, the producer, Scott, his 8-year-old son, proposed including, after viewing Star, a spaceman arrived at the event. Wars. The authors detested it. They even decided who would write by drawing straws. The episode with the dumb alien. However, on February 28, 1978, that strange notion evolved into my favorite Orcan. It was intended only to be a dream sequence for Cunningham Ritchie. Next, Robin Williams dared to try out. When requested to, he performed it inverted. Marshall claimed to be the only extraterrestrial who tried out. TV was altered by that one moment. Passed. The audience went wild. The volume of responses was so great that A.B. Surrey worked the show to exclude the dream and make it more tangible. Only one appearance sparked a complete spin-off. No one anticipated it, but Moore and Mindy later that year, and it blew up. At the debut of Moore and Mindy September 14, 1978, saw it turn into a national preoccupation. During the first season, it attracted 60 million views on its own, each and every week. It was the third most popular television program in America, adjacent to Have a Good Day. Robin Williams turned into a superstar in a single day. Just $15,000 per episode, he was a steal, particularly for someone who essentially worked alone a storm of humor. His expression fell on the March 1979 cover of Time. Children had lunchboxes, more T-shirts and toys and coloring books. More was all over. However, beneath the giggles, the authors were in a state of survival. Individuals thought Robins. Lines were made up on the location. The writers were inspired by the myth, enraged. "We're up," one of them joked, writing Robin's advertisement until 4 in the morning libs. They worked frantically, starting at 10 in the morning till 4 p.m., simply to maintain together with him. Cocaine was used by some. Sugar was the lifeblood of others, such as David Mish. Robin did not improvise. He committed to memory the entire script after reading it once. Yes, he got crazy during rehearsing, but when he hit every phrase as the cameras rolled. Exactly. He was exact in his pandemonium. Hollywood was unable to overlook him. In 1980, Williams landed his first major motion picture role, Popeye. Its budget was $20 million and was shot in Malta, where they constructed Ann Hole Community that remains as a tourist destination. The film made almost critics detested it, but it was $50 million. The set was dubbed Stalag Altman by Williams, making fun of how challenging the shoot was. However, it demonstrated that he could carry a film, even if the directing or script didn't work. He possessed star power. Popeye wasn't a heat, but it made the parts more accessible. That characterized his professional life. Additionally, they fixed his mitral valve and attempted to repair his erratic heartbeat. This required halting anesthesia, his heart, and even protecting his brain by cooling his body. It was that serious. His sibling had passed away 2 years prior from comparable surgery. He carried that fear with him. The procedure was successful. However, it left scars that nobody was able to see. These types of surgery frequently results in melancholy or even PTSD. A few patients have cognitive alterations or memory loss because of the injury, the sedative, or little brain clots. Williams lived. He was never the same, though. 4 years, he later attempted to resume his TV career with The Crazy Ones, a sitcom. It had a successful 2013 debut. He was the star. In addition to Sarah Michelle Gellar, there were advertisements everywhere. However, the magic didn't endure. Ratings dropped. Additionally, by May 2014 saw the cancellation of the show after just 22 episodes. Williams was struck deeply by that. He thought he had failed. "My face is everywhere, town on billboards, and everything is displayed on my turn," he informed a companion. Behind the scenes, he was disintegrating. Monetary pressure on top of the weight. Following 2 divorces and the cancellation of the show, he sold his Napa, which was worth $29.9 million ranch. He was ashamed, devastated, and uncertain whether any positions remained for him. His self-assurance was rapidly diminishing. Next, on The Night at the Museum set. Things worsened with The Tomb's Secret. Robin began to lose his lines. That never before. He once make up whole scenes on the spot. He was now questioning each take. He would dial the late at night. The director asks, "Dewey awful? What's happening?" On his cosmetics, The artist claimed to cry at the end of most days, within her arm. So far, nothing made sense. Nobody knew what it was called, taking place, but his mind was already being attacked. All of it, his Susan, his wife, would thereafter learn that he had dementia in Louis's body. Back then, nobody would clarify why Robin, the swiftest thinking in humor, was now having trouble talk or think plainly. Things at home were much more somber. He had trouble falling asleep. He experienced severe nocturnal terrors. He would yell, beat, or misbehave nightmares. To the extent that he began to protect, sleep in a different room, his spouse. He occasionally locked himself in just so he wouldn't have to go to his stepson's room, accidentally caused harm to anyone. This was more rather than sleeplessness. He exhibited REM sleep behavior, DUNE, dysfunction, one of the most obvious indications of dementia in Louis's body. The unpleasant evenings destroyed his days. His thoughts turned into a tangle. He experienced terrifying panic attacks, waves of suspicion. At one point, he placed his driving while wearing pricey watches and socks for safety. They went to a friend's house. He felt that people were in danger. He believed his pals were being pursued. These paranoid episodes occasionally lasted 8 hours. He was unable to get away. And even worse, he was aware that something was incorrect. Physicians informed him in May 2014 that he suffered from Parkinson's disease. However, that didn't describe everything. He wasn't merely shuddering. He was experiencing delusions, panicking, and losing track of basic details. He continued to ask his physicians, "Am I schizophrenic? Is Alzheimer's affecting me?" "No," they said. However, he was aware that they were lacking something. He sensed it. His spouse claimed that it was similar to playing whack-a-mole. Each time they were able to control one symptom, one more appeared. Levodopa, the primary Parkinson's disease medication, seldom helped. Occasionally, it even made his worsening hallucinations. That ought to have been a hint. Individuals with Louis's physique. People with dementia don't react well to Parkinson's medications. Robin deteriorated, rather than superior. More fear, more dread, more confusion. Susan observed thee. Her beloved lover vanished. On certain days, he was transparent. Some days were freezing and terrified. He screamed at night in his go to sleep. Throughout the day, he occasionally remained still, ensnared in his own mind. He kept questioning whether he was going crazy, and sadly, he was correct. He displayed more than 40 Louis's body symptoms dementia, but nobody made the connection on schedule. He had memory loss and hallucinations, slip-ups, bewilderment, and delusions. Everything arrived in waves. He was fine for a while, the subsequent defeat. His situation was so severe, later physicians stated that it was among the worst they'd ever seen. Almost all Louis destroyed part of his brain, clusters of aberrant proteins called bodies that the nervous system was destroyed. Robin Williams wasn't only depressed or worn out. He was battling an illness of the brain that no one got it, a sickness that took his memory, his self-assurance, and ultimately his determination to live. On 11th August 2014, he was discovered deceased in his residence in California, Tiburon. He was hung, belting himself. Where his wrist had minor wounds, and a pocket knife is close by. His individual and helper located him. He was 63. When, in 2014, Robin Williams passed away, and the world one of its brightest lights went off. However, concealed in the humor, the charm, and the swift wit, something much more sinister had been consuming him. His last year was a puzzle. Perplexity, suspicion, anxiousness, sleeplessness, hallucinations, and abrupt issues with mobility. Nobody could work things out, not even the highest. He went to see specialists. They gave it a name. Initially had Parkinson's disease, but they were incorrect. The autopsy followed. What they discovered that even the most seasoned specialists, Robin's mind was entirely Lewy bodies took over. A clump of A-alpha-synuclein is a harmful protein. These weren't limited to one location. They were all over. His limbic, his neocortex brainstem, his system, even the amygdala, which regulates emotion as well as memory. It resembled a wildfire that had rushed across his mind, leaving nearly no healthy neurons remain unaltered. Bruce, Dr. Miller, one of UCSF's leading neurologists, examined the results. His response was blunt. There was nothing left of his brain. He wasn't kidding when he said it was unspoiled. Areas of the brain that typically do not sustain damage, many illnesses that are neurodegenerative, were overwhelmed with Robin's situation. Dr. Miller. The damage was so bad that afterward he expressed his amazement that Robin was still able to move or even talk in his last days. This degree of devastation is extremely uncommon. According to doctors, it was one among the most severe Lewy body cases dementia ever documented. And it clarified everything. The mood, the hallucinations fluctuations, the suspicion, the unexpected bodily deterioration. He wasn't only ill. His mind was being methodically taken apart from the inside, what made the disease's impact worse at all the wrong places. The amygdala, which aids in controlling emotions, was packed with Lewy corpses that resulted in disability, fearful hallucinations, and anxiousness. His brainstem, which is necessary for locomotion and fundamental operations, was also infringed. His body was therefore unable to create sufficient levels of dopamine, the substance that regulates motion. It is identical to substance that lowers in Parkinson's. As a result, he began to shake and turned into stiff. But dopamine wasn't the only factor. Acetylcholine is another molecule that is required, for concentration and memory was also diminished. When the Lewy bodies arrived at his basal cortex and forebrain. With both unbalanced chemicals, Robin waste-trapped, in a mental tumult, experiencing hallucinations 1 second, immobile the next, losing control, losing memory, and losing himself. The entire image was terrible. Robin Williams didn't simply suffer from dementia. He possessed a copy of it that appeared to be nearly designed to demolish anything that contributed to his identity. Susan Schneider, his widow, claims Williams, 4 distinct medical professionals verified it. This was among the worst incidents they had previously witnessed. The harm was too far gone. Nothing, no medication, no surgery, no treatment would have been able.